do it. Hi, Con, and welcome to the Hayley Osborne Show. I am thrilled to have you as a guest today joining me. How are you?
Thank you very much, Hayley. Absolute pleasure to be on your program. Really,
Okay.
really excited and looking forward to sharing some great stuff with your audience.
So I've done a little intro beforehand for our
Mm.
listeners to listen to, but what I like to get my guests to do is, who are you and what do you do? In your own words, please.
In my own words, I help people and businesses achieve greater success through learning public speaking and communication and presentation skills. I'm a keynote speaker, public speaking and communication expert, trainer and coach.
Yep. And your business is Con Koutsikas. That's how
My
people can
business
find.
is my name. Absolutely.
Yep. I
Uh,
love
Go-
that.
Google me, and I rank quite well, which is great.
Yeah.
Definitely just my name. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's have a little chat about like the
Mm,
importance of public speaking and confidence. So we've had chats before. I've been on your
mm,
podcast and I really wanted to get you here, especially for my listeners who are 99% small business owners who, we all struggle with like lacking confidence. A lot of small business owners don't do any public speaking. And I guess like the reason for having you here is how important is it to boost your profile as a business owner when you can have the confidence to take hold of the microphone and stand up? Like, I know, let me just, before you answer that question, because I
mm.
know that this is such a passion for you, but when, as a marketer, somebody like me, when you can do something at the top of your funnel, right, meet where you reach lots of other people all at once and you do it once, it's important. So let's like specifically talk about what you do in that regard and how important it is.
Okay. I think it's important to go back and just clarify a really, really important point for your audience. If you ask the majority of people their idea of what public speaking is, the majority of people will see somebody on a big stage talking to a really, really big group of people.
Yeah.
It is indeed that, but public speaking, in essence, is communication. And it's our interaction right now is a form of public speaking. Your audiences, when they're doing their marketing, their promotions at the top of their funnel, is public speaking. When they're in a sales environment, it's public speaking. Public speaking, in essence, is communication, human communication. And the rules of engagement, the psychology aspect, the body language, the tonality, our language apply across the board. It's really important that they understand that first and foremost. In terms of the importance of communication skills for the business owners, everyone's in sales, whether you're selling a product or service, we're selling ourselves and we're selling our ideas. And somebody can be a 10 in terms of their level of expertise, whether it's technical expertise or in their product or service. But if their communication skills are only a 3, they will only ever be perceived as a 3.
Mm.
I can't stress the importance of communication skills in every aspect of business.
Yeah. So what about if business owners are sort of sitting back thinking, oh, do I have great communication skills or do I not? Like, what are your like top 3 tips on how to kind of polish up that in as a, you know, feather in your cap? Like
Sure.
to, what are some of the things that you teach or like advise people
Mm.
how to get better?
The first thing is one of the key things that I focus on is the psychology of communication. And that's not only understanding your listeners' psychology, how they receive and process information, but also how we view ourselves. And there's a direct correlation between people's confidence and self-esteem and their willingness and or ability to confidently speak. Yeah. So the first thing that I stress, you have to have a high level of confidence or self-esteem in yourself to be able to be an effective communicator. That's the first thing. And that underpins everything. If you don't feel good about you, it shows. That's the first thing. The second thing is, what I suggest to people is record yourself. Do a little talk, get your husband, your partner, your kids to video you. You know, we've got these little devices nowadays that are just tremendous. And look at it and go, okay, what do I like and what don't I like? Because there's a high probability what you see and you go, oh my God, that's cringeworthy. There's a likelihood that somebody else is going to have the same opinion. And it's about everything we do, Hayley, is subconscious. 95% of our behaviors are subconscious. And we can't change a behavior until the subconscious becomes conscious. And we do that by looking at those videos. So understanding that. And secondly, it's about being open to feedback and go, you know what? I can get better. I do need to change my tonality, because our tonality is everything. You know, I can buy the suit, can buy the shoes, and, you know, 55% of people's value judgment is based on how we look, body language. But our tonality is how we say things, not what we say. Do we speak with confidence? Do we speak with authority? Or are we, really quite sheepish?
Yeah, that's important. And so I like to also say, but how do I get confident? You have to show up and do the awkward steps to become confident. If you wait to become confident before you show up and do the thing, you're never going to do the thing. It's like you've just got to throw yourself in the deep end, and as podcasters, though, like you and I both have a podcast, it was the biggest cringe listening to myself. But you're right, because I remember when I was like playing around recording my very first intro and outro for the podcast, and you can tell when you're smiling when you're talking. Like, it is such a thing. And I've said that to some of my clients recently that have started podcasts, is I can tell that you are not smiling, and that is not good in people's ears. So I want you to do it again and with a smile. And it might be awkward at the start, but it's just so much better that, you do that, because it showcases you're passionate about it, right? Because obviously you started your business for a reason.
Yeah.
So I think, showing up with a smile and just doing it regardless. The video thing is such a great tip though. Watch it back. And if you find yourself, you're a bit cringy and you seem too serious or whatever, other people are probably going to think the same thing. So you got to work on it.
And I'd say to people, part of my presentations, I say, if you walked into a room and nobody knew who you were and they were all blindfolded and you opened your mouth, what would they think of you? Would they see you as an expert in your field? Would they see you as somebody who's confident? Would they see you as an authority figure in your industry?
Yeah, that's interesting.
And the other thing as well, like, we say it as a cliche, people who do phone sales or do a lot of work on the phone, and you go, can you hear somebody smile on the phone? You bet you can.
Yeah, absolutely. How important is that? And often it's the little things that you don't see that are like have the ability for you to make the biggest changes. So I think it's really important. So in terms of how you incorporate, or what tips would you incorporate or would you give to business owners to story tell on top of that? How do people become great storytellers? How do business owners become great storytellers in your eyes?
Storytelling is one of the most important skills to develop, not only as a business owner, but as even an employee in your organization. There's a saying, facts tell, stories sell. And stories have the ability to emotionally impact people, to touch them. And as you know, Hayley, people make decisions based on emotion and then try and justify with logic. Yeah. And so your ability to be not a good storyteller, but a great storyteller is really important. And everybody's got stories.
Yeah.
And I suggest to people, have a little book, have a diary or something, and write them down. It colors your communication. A story about why you got into what you did, how your product emotionally affected or had a significant impact on one of your customers. That's far more important on a potential client than statistics about 25% this, 30% that, ROI of this, ROI of that. It's about your ability to tell a story, a really, really engaging story. And the story is not just the words. The story is the delivery. The story is the emotion that you attach to it, your facial gesturing, your tonality. Because as you identified earlier, your facial gestures affect your tonality and vice versa. So storytelling is really, really powerful. And everybody's got stories. Everybody's got stories.
I think too, I like to say you need to be able to tell the same story in, maybe 5 different ways, because what someone relates to over here is not necessarily what someone can relate to over here, even though it's the same story. You need to be able to relate to different audiences, which is definitely a fine art. And I've had to practice that as well. But what I want to ask you is you say speaking is the new competitive advantage. Do you think that small business owners need to have this as a part of their marketing plan moving forward? Because it is such a competitive environment.
I can't stress it highly enough, Hayley. And the simplest analogy is, the job market is very, very competitive. And typically you'll have 2 applicants that, you look at their resume and their skill set, and the skill sets are very, very, very similar. The defining point for the employer is, how did one sell themselves better than the other? And business is the same. Every industry, most industries, I don't know about all industries, but certainly I would suggest the majority of industries are highly competitive.
Oh, like there's, how many coffee shops are there? That's my little go-to. Yeah.
Highly competitive. So my question to the business owners then is, if you're in a really highly competitive industry, what's your point of difference? And often it's people's communication skills and their ability to articulate their product and or service, their ability to hold a conversation, their ability to maintain a conversation. And so as much as marketing is important, as much as, product knowledge and all those things are absolutely paramount, communication skills they're life-changing. They really are.
Because humans buy from humans, right? And that's where fundamentally it lies. And I think that we're seeing a massive shift in the way that businesses need to market themselves, from talking to people to talking with people. And if you don't have the fundamentals right, so this goes back to the foundations, which I talk about a lot, that is one of them. So communication, but public speaking. So are there any tips for, getting people on stage that you would recommend to reduce the fear levels and, all those things that go with it? Or is it just, you got to do the first one?
Well, look, there's no doubt that confronting whatever challenges you is a strategy in overcoming your fear, because obviously the more we do something, the more comfortable we become at it. But you can throw somebody in there and go, great, I'm going to do this and I'm confident and I'm going to confront my fear. The danger in that, in and of itself, is that if they don't do it well and they don't have processes in terms of controlling their anxiety and their fear, and they don't have, at a bare minimum, some basic technical skills in terms of vocal tonality, body language, that they can perceive adverse negative reaction from an audience or a client and misinterpret that.
Mm.
And so just getting in front of people is great. Highly recommend it. But I just getting some training, even at a basic level, is really important. And Hayley, I just want to share a statistic with your audience. And this was a study that was done in America recently. And what I say to people, it was done in the US, but Western country, you can take those statistics, and there's a fair correlation in other developed countries, whether it's Australia, Europe, or wherever. 78% of the population has some level of fear and or anxiety around speaking in public, right? At some level. Two-thirds of men, two-thirds of women, one-third of men, statistically.
Yeah, right. That annoys me.
Yeah. But, I'll tell you what's interesting is that in all the work that I do, in all my workshops, statistically, that's the breakdown. Two-thirds women,
crazy.
one-third men. It's nuts. And it shows in every single time. But so two-thirds of statistics indicate that people who have got improved speaking and or communication skills earn up to 15% more and have a 10% more likelihood of advancement within their careers.
Yeah. So there you go. That's the gender pay gap right there, isn't it?
Statistic. Yep.
Do you think, can I just stop you? Do you think, considering where I'm at in my life right now, not me specifically, because I have been working and running my business the whole way through, but do you think that percentage is the way it is because women stop to grow humans?
I've got some views, and one of the things, and I'm all for women earning. If you do the same job, you get the same money. I don't care.
Views too.
Male, female, I don't care.
I think that our views would be very similar because, again, like if we were all meant to be like only women can have the babies, men can't. Like,
but where I'm going with this is that if you do the same job, you get the same money. Right? Yes. No question.
100%.
What potentially may be a challenge, and I'm not saying this is right or this is wrong.
Yeah.
If two-thirds of that 78% that have some element of fear are females, then potentially are they holding themselves back because they don't have the communication skills and the confidence to potentially negotiate their package, to negotiate for that position or put themselves up? Is that potentially what it may be? I'm not saying it is.
Yeah.
Potentially it could be.
Yeah.
The other statistics very quickly is that out of all that research, only 8% of people seek professional help.
Yeah. Wow. So that's just like,
go figure.
Yeah. It's kind of cancels itself out. Well, you're your own worst enemy if, I know. And what a shame. Like, women should just back themselves a little bit more, I think, because once you kind of lean into your power, it's, your opportunities are endless. That's a really interesting percent.
And just a really quick story I'd like to share just for the benefit of your listeners. I had a lady attend my last workshop, and on the fourth session, she said to me, can I speak to you? And of course, as you run a workshop and you think the worst.
Oh no.
And oh my God, she wants a refund. And she said to me, Con, I have to tell you, this workshop has changed my life.
Oh, that's lovely.
Wow. Okay. I said, how so? She said, I'm in a role, in a sales role that people don't leave this company. They don't leave. And she said, I've been wanting a job in another role for 6 years. And she said, doing your workshop has given me the courage and the confidence to leave my current role where nobody ever leaves, apply for this other job. And she said, I got it and I start in 2 weeks' time.
Oh my gosh. I love those stories so much. Yeah, it's lovely. I'll say this too. If it wasn't for my podcast, the podcast has given me the confidence to speak publicly very easily, which is crazy because I've interviewed a lot of people. But it also gave me the confidence to be able to show up and be filmed for Koshi's Business Builders. Like, I backed myself and went to Sydney to do that. And had it not been for this consistent public speaking, and talking to people and being on other people's podcasts and standing up in front of a room, that is very daunting. So I think if I can do it, anyone can do it. And I think when you can nail that as a competitive advantage of your own as a business owner, I think you're a very powerful force to be reckoned with.
Absolutely. And, sadly, there's a misconception that people who are either eloquent speakers or have a confidence to stand up and address a group are born with it. And nothing could be further from the truth. It's a skill that can A, be taught, and B, it can be learned. So if you're prepared to put yourself out there, just like anything else, whether you're learning about social media, marketing, videography, whatever the case may be, communication and public speaking skills are the same.
Very interesting. And I guess too, like with that communication, storytelling, public speaking, so it's coming out of your mouth, we need to master that well as business owners to replicate that personality in words on our websites and social media platforms, because 99% of people are going to Google you before they pick up the phone, and you are more likely to get the job or win the tender or, get new clients if you are aligned throughout. How you are in person is how you are on your website, is how you are on your socials, is, and if you can't do that, if you feel like, there's becoming a disconnect, then reassess and realign and redo everything, because there's nothing worse than not feeling aligned and in your power.
We have to be congruent. And, that's as you've mentioned, as a marketing expert across all our platforms, from a communication perspective, our body language and our tonality needs to be congruent with what's coming out of our mouths. If it's not, it's creating an issue with your customer or your potential customer, your staff, your audience. So we need to be congruent, absolutely, across the board, without question.
Let's backtrack a little bit, because I just started off by asking you like the fire questions. How did you start? How did you get into this? Tell me your story, because I love these stories, because these stories are what give people motivation that if he can do it, I can do it, right? Yeah.
And
I know
my
you've got a
story,
great story, so I think everyone else should.
and my story is exactly like that, Hayley.
Yes.
And I'm sure you get people that look at you and just assume that you were always confident and bubbly, and I get the same thing. People go, "Oh, you've always been like that." And there was a time in my life I spent 25 plus years in the commercial furniture industry both as a business owner and as an employee of an organization.
I love these stories so much.
and a big part of what I did was business development, negotiating with potential clients, but also there was a high level of sales involved. And I'm talking, 20 plus years ago now, we were negotiating 1.5, 2 million plus dollar contracts.
So and that was a lot back then.
yeah, big coin.
Yeah.
And I reached a point with both my business and a relationship that was could be at best described as catastrophic. And I reached a point where it was a bit of a real down point in my life, and I lost my mojo. I lost my confidence. I lost my self-esteem. I became withdrawn. My business failed. My relationship, I ended it, which needed to go. So that was a big tick there. And it was a real existential crisis at that time. And I was listening to an audio book by famous American motivational speaker, Zig Ziglar. And he said, one of the best ways that you can build your confidence and your self-esteem was to learn to speak in public. And so I thought, great, that's me. And he mentioned an organization called Toastmasters, which is an international non-for-profit public speaking organization. And so I sought a club here and went down there, and our club, there's stairs goes downstairs. And I reckon I went up and down those stairs 4 times with that conflict, one voice going, come on, you got to do this, you got to do this. And the other one going, run, run.
Yes.
And eventually up and down 3-4 times, and somebody heard me. So, I had nowhere to go. And I joined not because I wanted to learn to speak in public, to coach and train or stand on a stage.
Where you are now.
I wanted my mojo back. I wanted Con back, the confidence to go to a networking event and have an engaging conversation, to be able to ask for things, to be able to do the things that I knew I could do.
Yeah.
And that's what it gave me. That's what it gave me back. As a consequence, I got good feedback. I had a couple of people who asked me to help them co-facilitate some workshops, which I did. And I just got a kick out of that. I just absolutely got a buzz out of that.
Yeah, the fire got lit and you were like,
the fire got lit. And as
am I meant to be doing this? Yeah.
And the rest, as they say, is history. And there's another really, really funny story, which I'll give you the real short version because you'll find it amusing. I went to a personal development thing in America many years ago, and the guy running it, he said, we're going to do a meditation to find your purpose. Right? I'm going, great, because I wanted to know what my purpose was. Did this meditation, your being's going to come down. They're going to give you a golden box. You're going to lift the lid, and inside is a sign or a signal of what your purpose is. So I've gone through this meditation, lifted the lid, and there's a microphone in there. And this was and I'm going, what the heck?
Yeah.
So It's funny how things work out.
It is so funny. I look at my life now and it is incredibly funny because before I was married and had children, I knew that I couldn't continue to work in a very high level demanding corporate day job and be the mum that I wanted to be. I knew that even though I didn't even know my husband. And I used to look at people like stressing at 5 o'clock, like, I've got to go home to my kids, or I've got to like negotiate school pickup, or I've got to do this, or I've got to do that. And I thought, geez, like, I don't want that life, but this is like 15 years ago, maybe even a little bit more. And then it kind of grew and grew. And yeah, now I'm in this situation where I've started this for a reason. And the original reason for starting my business was was flexibility, right? But not around like a family and kids and all the things. It was more like I didn't want to have a boss anymore, and I had an opportunity and I took it, and I was really good at what I did. And I thought, well, can't help that many people stuck in a corporate job. I can help more people if I work for myself. And now the byproduct all these years later is, oh, wow, I am able to, I have a thriving business and I am there for my kids all the time. And it's just so funny looking back going, I could never have predicted that. It's like the microphone in the box, but everything happens for a reason and you're meant to be where you are. And if you had told
me 10 years ago I'd be doing this, I would have had you certified.
And you're going to have a podcast, by the way. You'd be like, oh, what is a podcast?
Duh.
Crazy. Yeah, no, I love the story. So tell me a little bit about how your actual business works. Like, how can people find you? How can they work with you that are listening? They're like, I really like Con. He sounds like such a nice guy. I am at a crossroads in my life. I want to get my confidence back, or I want to become the best public speaker the world has ever seen. How can people work with you?
There's a number of ways. First of all, if you go onto my website, which is myname.com, so conkoutsikas.com in the show notes.
Con Koutsikas. I'll put it in the show notes because your last name might be hard for people to spell.
Yeah, no, so we'll put it in the show notes. And you can, first of all, there's a free 15-minute consult, because just like anything else, you can't offer a solution until you have an understanding of what the problem or the challenge is. And so I like to get to know my potential clients to understand where they're at and what they want to achieve. Beyond that, I have a workshop which I run here in Adelaide. It's alive. It's essentially one-on-one training, but in a group environment. Because it's they do a presentation every session. They receive live feedback, and I've actually got one which starts on the 29th. And if anybody's interested in Adelaide, there's only 2 spots left. So if you're really, really keen, that aside,
what about after that? What about after that? Because
you might not. Yeah, we missed that. Yeah, fair enough. After that, there'll probably be another one in November.
Yeah. Okay.
So stay tuned. Details on the website. And beyond that, I have my one-on-one elite coaching and mentoring program, which I offer, and I also do corporate training. So if any organisation's looking to upskill their people with improving speaking and communication skills, I certainly can create a program to achieve the outcomes that they're looking for.
Yep. And you are all over Instagram and Facebook and everything. And you can follow how do we follow you? What is your Instagram handle?
It's
all the same.
It's on Instagram. I think it's the Con Koutsikas. But Hayley, there's not many of us. In fact,
no.
there's only one of me. And that goes back to my parental bloodlines. So Facebook, Con Koutsikas, as I said, there's no one else. You'll find my Facebook, LinkedIn profile, it's all there.
Yes, Con, this has been so lovely, and it's so nice to have someone like you come in to add an extra layer into what our marketing plan should be containing in the future, because if you've always done what you've always done, you'll always have whatever that saying is, right? And so a lot of people don't think about these things, but this is just a nice value add with lots of gusto, and I love that so much. So thank you for joining me today. I will put everything in the show notes will be on my website, and obviously if you follow me on social media, Con will be on my social media as you're listening to this, so you can follow him that way as well. Thank you, Con.
Thank you very much, Hayley. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I trust your audience got some value out of our conversation.
Bye.
Bye.